Hello.
At this pivotal time in humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of the people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are divine creators, creating both our own personal experience and our collective experience moment to moment. We invite you to join us as we reawaken this technology to experiment and experience our power to create and manifest. Become part of the 3%. Welcome everyone to this week's TCI show from Morocco. I think we have echo. 1 second. Okay, we might have to work that out. Can you guys hear echo?
No, I don't.
We're good.
Does everybody hear? Are you hearing us clearly in the chat room? All good, all good.
All good, all good. Okay, great. Okay, the energy has come down from last week. We will not have a giggle fest yet again. We've all settled down a bit, so that's good to hear. And we've essentially chosen to spend the next 2 hours taking questions from you guys. It is the time. So we have Dee here, we have Brian, we have Heather, and myself, and we're all here to answer questions that you all have. Some of them have already been put forward. What does bend it? Who wants me to bend it? Somebody wrote something in the chat room. Bend it, Lisa. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's a soccer term. That's a soccer term, Lisa. Make the ball curve.
Make the ball curve. Okay. I don't even know if... Has anybody seen this latest Swiss-Indo document that came out? Because and which one you're referring to? Because I know one came out yesterday. Someone put one forward to me, but today so I'm not too sure which one you're referring to.
Yeah.
So if someone could give me a link to it and let me know, and I can see if anyone's even seen it and had a good look at it. The one I saw, I couldn't make any sense of. It sounded like it was calling Heather a flavour enhancer or something. So her nickname is MSG from now on. So just, if someone can send me a link to the one you want clarification on, that would be good. So we do have callers, but we've also got some questions coming up in the chat room. So did Bob and Chris, did you guys want to
handle the
say anything? No, did you just want to say anything or have any questions to kick this off?
Well, I just want to say hello to everybody. Good morning.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry,
hope we are all well.
Yeah, it is 1 o'clock in the morning, so I am a little delirious.
I was just going to say, if the energy increased from last week, you guys will be floating off the planet. It'll just be Bob and I here.
Oh, there was no chance of it increasing. I would have, every cell in my body would have exploded.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a absolutely necessary release. And it just happened to happen. We're about to go live on
well,
the radio.
I mean, what people need to realise is that for you, Lisa, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So you'd have to have waited all evening, sitting around with your friends, all evening, having a good old chat. So it's no wonder you're so hyped up by the time it hit 1 in the morning, fueled by a bit of local Moroccan fun juice, whatever you're having, plus some.
Well, I'm having coffee to stay awake.
Look, it's not easy when you because running split timelines, and if you're working with groups of people who are scattered around the planet, you end up spending a lot less time sleeping than you would if you weren't doing that. I can tell you.
Yeah.
So it is a fact of life. What can I say? Apparently that's it. By the way, I do have a comment on that latest Swissindo document, if you're interested in my opinion on it. So I have been looking closely at all the Swissindo stuff that's come out. I'm hearing two voices coming out of this crowd. This information that's coming out of Indonesia. It's confusing, but one of the things I think people need to bear in mind is that Indonesia is a very politically turbulent place. Always has been. You go and read the history of Indonesia. It is unstable. Would be not too far from the truth. And given that there's this massive asset sitting down there that everybody knows about and everybody tries to obtain influence by being attached to, I think it's a massive political game down there. So I think you're hearing stuff presented from within a group of people, and I think there's two camps down there. And it's a matter of remaining neutral at this point, because it's a case of, you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. Stop talking about it. Show me. And I certainly wouldn't discourage them from any big releases to support the one people, the UV exchange. I would most definitely not support something which some aspects of this document really bothered me. There's one paragraph where they talk about, folding the United Nations and, blah, 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 into this new thing they're trying to talk about. Well, that's not what we've got in mind. Thank you very much. And yet some of the other documents, the earlier documents, point in a different direction, actually not in detail, but they mention CVAC. So confusing communications. So I suspect we're hearing multiple agendas here, one of which is in our favour and others which aren't. That's my view on that document there. So don't read this stuff as all being from a consistent source, would be my advice to people who are observing this. Stay neutral. And unfortunately, well, one thing we do know is that over the next week there is some sort of event going on down there, after which there might be some, actual action by them.
What do you mean?
Until they,
what event?
Well, if you read the big release to the UN, they call for a treaty event at the start of June, and it's the start of June next week. So do something, guys. Stop talking about it. Now, on the other hand, Andrew Bartzis, our galactic historian, is saying that the bigger picture is on hold at the moment. The pause button's been pressed. It won't come off until the solstice, till the 21st of June. That no one can make any major moves till then. And given we've seen a complete lack of major moves, the dinar has completely failed to get off the ground. Nothing else major. There aren't major things. Major in the sense of people's lives being affected by the situation.
That's a matter of perspective, I've got to say.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Doesn't
it's easy
feel
for
like
me to say.
what's going on in my life, so... well, there's no pause going on
No,
what
I mean
is
that, if the dinar has not been revalued, that would be huge. We know that it's got a suspicious aspect to it because we think that Hossaring's been subsumed and is being used to phoenix or re-phoenix what's going on, and re-phoenix the Kabbalist, pull out a new version of the old system in order to kind of read things to a shinier form of slavery, make us happy for a while, and then suck us back into the mire, which is certainly, I think Dee's view is along those lines. But at that level, okay, there's nothing global going on. That doesn't mean there isn't turbulence in many small and people's lives. It's just that, if Swissindo do a major release, if Swissindo do what they originally intended to do and put $6 million in everybody's account, do you think that wouldn't be a major event?
I haven't read the Swissindo document. And I know that there's a lot of people that are watching a lot of events and a lot of things that are going on in the world, and who's doing what and who's doing this and who's doing that. What I would say should be everyone's concern is, what are you doing?
Agreed.
It really doesn't matter what Swiss Indo does.
Well, let's ask Heather and Dee if they've been this document. Have either of you seen it? Go.
This is Heather. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone. As far as there are 2 points that I'd like to add some data to the table, and then everyone can look at it. One is Swiss Indo. 2 is the reevaluations, not to DAR, but of all currencies. So on Swiss Indo, I have read the documents. There's been some translated communications. And as far as the documents go, I read those are just a vehicle for the energy that's sent over, and perhaps I can also do some clarification as to exactly what I understand Swiss Indo to have done. And the first point is that, Swiss Indo, many other, they call them gatekeepers, and in banking, especially for large accounts, the global accounts, the collateral accounts, the prosperity accounts, they have someone that will be named on the account as the de jure signatory, and they've never had de facto because everything's working on energy. So they may be on the account and their signature is required. However, it's not their value to actually go and touch, and they don't touch it. And even if they would try to touch it, because it's only a de jure signatory and not a de facto signatory, the banks would not execute any orders unless they followed very specific protocols for each account.
Heather, can you just explain the difference between the de jure and de facto?
Mm-hmm. A de jure would be their name is actually on the account. All the records show that that particular individual is the account holder, the signatory. De facto would be when that signatory would go in on their own agenda, for instance, and try to access those funds, and the bankers would not permit any transactions to flow through. So you may have de jure, which is you're on the account, but de facto means if you don't have de facto, you aren't able to touch that account, move that account, any funds from that account. So you have this system of basically nominees, appointees, electees who are de jure account holders. They're the public face, and yet the actual person or group on the account is able to stay back in the background with no transparency.
So the de jure is just a front person?
The de jure would be a front person and what they call a gatekeeper. However, here we have a situation where, and we knew this was going to be a possibility, so we factored it in. And when everything went back to prime, all the way back to the beginning, to eternal essence, with everything being returned to all the embodiments of eternal essence, there was no further prime point. That is the absolute. And so if you read those documents and you don't understand what they actually did, then all of a sudden those that had de jure read it as they could now have de facto. And if it hadn't been taken back to prime, yes, they absolutely would have de jure and de facto, which means banks would have to do absolutely everything that they said. And that's the case where Swiss Indo basically was data that I received when I did have a conversation with someone who reported themselves to be with Swiss Indo, was that the reason why Mr. Sino owns the UN, the United Nations, and is able to do what he's doing is because of the OPPT filing. And then I understood what position that they had seen within those documents. However, they hadn't read all the documents, otherwise they we truly understand that de jure and de facto were now no longer relevant. Everything had gone all the way back to original essence for each and every embodiment, because the slavery system and what we knew as the financial system, only the part that we could see. It actually went all the way universally. And so with Swiss Indo, they went in, and I can say this. Personally, when I read those and look at the energetic signature of the intent is absolutely pure. Yet it's working on data and experiences which are when they're static. You know, everything they know is hierarchy. Everything they know is kingdoms and structure and governance. Yet their intent is to make sure that people are free. So it's not a matter of someone's intent or that there's multiple groups, you know, running Swiss Indo with different agendas. And you also have a translation problem. You have a huge translation problem, which they're working basically, they have all this money in formally in their de jure, yet they don't have access to it to be able to properly go in and have all of these documents properly translated. And so they're writing them in their own, and then someone's going in and using a free translation program. So that's a part of it. I'm not saying it's all of it. I'm saying it's part of it. You have incorrect translation.
Yeah,
so as far as the energetic signature, I find whoever is writing the document as Mr. Sino, it is a pure intent. They're just working off of the tools, the old former tools that they know. And it's much, much pure, simpler, and more beautiful than that as far as having to follow any hierarchies. There are no hierarchies. There are no kingdoms in the sense of the old former system. The kingdom is each and every embodiment. Each embodiment is the king, the queen, or the governance of that embodiment, and no other. So as far as Indo, that's the thing. You have Keenan, who's very, I've seen some of the stuff he came out, I couldn't read anything else after. Apparently I met my husband last year, and my 4 kids and I and my husband were giggling in that he was an Ethiopian mafia leader. It was just quite funny. But and I felt bad for Keenan at that point, because I knew that, you know, this all has to go around, this is all revolving around this Swiss Indo and the gatekeeper. You know, why else would they pay energy into actually going in and trying to destroy it? And then, of course, someone knew that we were here in Morocco, so go in and set the whole thing up about Morocco. And anyone who knows the true history with Morocco and the U.S. and the actual relationship, current relationship, you know, if you're in Morocco, it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. If a particular corporation wants you or a family, they go get you. There's no such thing as immunity or no jurisdiction or any of that. They just go in and they get you. So that was, I felt really bad because someone really set Keenan up if that was the information they were giving him, and he was, you know, feeding it out to the public in any form, shape, form. There's huge paper trails everywhere, but, you know, just right now I can understand where everyone is. This is all about separation. Everything I see is feeding into separation. And yet at the same time, all the energy is moving everything into oneness and isness. And that's a huge contrast. That's this moment right now, so that everyone can visibly see it. So Swindo, as far as the energetic signatures, they're absolutely transparent, even if the embodiments are not. And I see an incredible purity in the documents that I'm reading. You know, but I do see where they think that, you know, they've had to, now they think that they have de facto, and yet it's already all distributed. It's already, everything's back with the people. They just don't know how to move forward. And kingdoms, or, you know, 5 kingdoms and all this is definitely not going to happen, because it's already kingdoms in each and every embodiment throughout the universe, not just planetary. That's the clarification I'd like to make on Swiss Indo, and so that you understand what's happening with the banks and the gatekeepers, that there's no factions really. Everyone's fighting for something that no longer exists. because it's already been redistributed. That was part of the solution of the absolute plan, that it was already done before it even began. So that's
Heather,
Go ahead.
Yep, I just wanted to just clarifying it in my own head. Essentially, the return to prime. I'll just kind of raise what you've been saying. The return to prime should really result in if all of the participants in this game really took on board what it was done when the OPPT filings were completed, they would simply return everything to the people. They would simply drop all representations of value and say, yes, the people are the value, and we'll just run on an energetic exchange like the IUV exchange. That's what they should do. But I think what Heather's saying is that they're struggling with all of the vestiges and baggage of thousands of years running hierarchies. They don't know how to let go.
That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, Chris, and I'll just expressly state it, if you need a clarification, just go ahead and ask the question. I'll go ahead and clarify. That way everyone knows exactly the information that they're requesting tonight. As far as Swiss Indo and the embodiments, if they understood, if they knew, I don't like the word understood so much, if they knew that everything was eternal essence, all the embodiments were eternal essence, then they would already know everything's already been redistributed. It's just a matter of an awareness. So let's just say you're sitting in a room, you don't know that someone's walked in because it hasn't come into your conscious yet, and yet they make a sound, they make a noise, and you look up, and then you see them. Then you're aware of it. And that could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be anything. You're just not aware of it. It doesn't mean that was never in the room the whole time. Well, it's the same thing here. Everything's already been done. It's been done since the beginning. It's just a matter of being aware of it. No embodiment has to ascend or descend to be its natural state of eternal essence. It's when limits go. So it's the difference between perception of eternal essence and embodiment, knowing that it's eternal essence and it has these limits on itself. It's responsible for its own experience of limitations or absent limitations, and they have full power to move between any state of limitation or no limitation, instead of a perception of saying, I have to ascend, I have to train, I have to do service, raise frequencies, which, look at where everyone has spent time over eons and where they have paid energy into. And it's been in management of the being. It's been in management of the perception of the being. You've had the power the entire time. You have been eternal essence the entire time. So it's just a matter of being aware of it. So it's just a matter of perception.
Yeah, so on the ground, how do you see that message as actually getting traction in enough people's minds in the collective?
In the collective. Well, look at the last, since December 25th. Leaps and bounds, and it's exponential and perpetual. It's just a matter of swinging anything, any matter, any item, any state into focus, and then letting the people have the opportunity to use their tools of resonance to see what resonates as absolute truth within them. It's swinging data, and if you're going to hold on to data, or if you're going to try to fabricate it or manipulate it or force it onto someone else so that they accept it, then those are indications of an agenda. Otherwise, you wouldn't care what data gets before the people. You would make sure that all data gets before the people. And then let them choose. Let them really resonate on what is, what isn't. Their tools of resonance, all of our tools of resonance are on maximum. They're on absolute. So I mind not what data gets before anyone, just that the data gets there in front of everyone. And Swiss Indo, I think, is, however their cycle or their structure is working, whether their intent is to have kingdoms or anything like that, I'm reading the energetic signatures and I'm seeing that they're working off of a now database. Doesn't mean an absolute database, but a now database. And it's not just Swiss Indo, it's also all of us. So if your focus is to have absolute data, that is absolutely what you have. And if you are aware and look around and pay attention, pay energy into everything that swings into focus, you just may find that everything that does swing into your focus is absolutely relevant to answer each and every question that anyone asks. So as far as what's going to happen, you want to play by play. Well, that's a matter of seeking the absolute data. So, for instance, I did not have any data or background. I've left Swiss Indo matter alone. I know that we've had a lot of folks like Malik Hughes, Adnan, Sakwi, Raymond King, a whole bunch of folks came forward and were looking for data, gathering data. What is enforcement? The Swiss Indo group is a fraud. Italy was another huge one where they had to really just look at data, and people became very aware of who was holding data, not wanting certain data out. And then the beautiful thing was watching the people start to ask questions, simple questions. Why was this data withheld? Looking at agendas, they were able to really ferret out who is who, and they know who they be. That was great. People know who they be themselves, and they were able to ask the right questions at the right moment. And then look to see this person became defensive. Why did this person become defensive? And it's simple. Everything's shaking out. All the girdles, all the limits are shaking off. And these beautiful beings are shining brighter and brighter and brighter, not because they're ascending, not because they're reaching a higher dimension, but because they're just being their natural state more and more and more. And they're honoring every other embodiment that's becoming its natural state. Not so much because they're growing into it, but because they're just saying, I accept, this is who I be. And then they do it. So Swiss Indo and all this military talk and the UN, here's what is very apparent to me based on the totality of data and all the data that swings into focus or illuminates for me, is that what we've always referred to as divines, meaning, and that's clarified for anyone who this is their first time listening, when we say the divines, it's where they are divine and it requires something not divine in order for them to exist. Okay?
The divine wannabes.
If, for those that know, that Swiss Indo, for instance, has gone in and used the OPPT filings in order to make it so that it's not just de jure, but de facto. And yet when you actually know what those filings and the eternal essence, everything going back to prime really means, if someone goes in and says, I have de jure and de facto, it actually, right, because of the application of that position, it actually also proves an incompetency or an irresponsibility legally in their minds, in the divine's mind. So they were hoping that OPPT, which no longer exists, it's been reconciled. It's finished its job. It's completed its job. It completed it on July 25th, 2012. They actually hope that the trustees, they rely on ego, just like I relied on their ego. They rely on ego and hope that we'll say, okay, Swiss Indo, they have the military, they have this and that, they have the UN. In order for the UN to ever be revived, they have to have embodiments pay energy into them. Yet they've all been canceled. So anyone who pays energy into them, they revive that body or that canceled entity, but only insofar as it's applicable to the person that revived it. Only to them, not to any other embodiment. And even in that case, you would still have to go in and look, because there has to be knowing, willing, and intentional with all material facts disclosed. So I have really good feelings and emotions and energy that I'm sending over to not just Swiss Indo, but all the roles, all the embodiments that are playing all the roles. I love this absolute plan, and the absolute plan considered all what the militaries and others are calling the divine plan. And the divine plan was not always aware of the absolute plan. And that was very frustrating for them. So everyone's like, let's see where it goes. If they really wanted to do it, they'd stop talking about it. Well, you know what, Chris? They're figuring it out now, too. Just like you are, just like we are. Everyone's figuring it out.
That's a good thing.
If everyone can sit there and say, do I have absolute data or do I have now data? To judge any others, for me, what resonates with me is that to judge any others is a lack of judgment. So I'm not going to judge anyone and say that they've got it wrong. No, it's an experience. And I will always lovingly stand by any embodiment, no matter what role they're playing, to assist them in any data that I have. I make sure that it's all visible, transparent. Does that answer your question?
Did we lose you? Hello?
Chris, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
I think the other guys just dropped for a second, but does that answer questions, do you think, on Swissinder?
Look, it's that very much higher perspective, and from that perspective, I can see what's going on. For the perspective of from the ground level, it's harder to see, obviously, because as in the framework that Heather just created, it's now data rather than absolute data. That is, the picture I can see rather than the picture that is.
Okay.
That makes sense?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. It's a matter of it is a matter of perspective. If you want to take a higher perspective on this stuff, then it's playing out. The shift created by the OPPT filings is rippling through this thing we call humanity at all levels, and it's playing out. The mechanism is the same at all levels, but it's playing out obviously differently for different aspects of the whole collective. So,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, you're good actually. Are those guys on Wi-Fi or are they on hardwire?
No, they were hardwired in as well, but well, my internal mic doesn't work though. So I'm just going to get everybody around my computer, but it's showing that I've actually dropped from the call, which is interesting. But I'm here.
No, you're fine. You actually haven't. You haven't changed.
D that's trying to come back on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Heather, there was 2 points you wanted to make. One was on the Swissinder, one was on the RV. So do you want to do the RV?
You're done.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
You're back.
Okay, so as far as the reevaluations, that was the other clarification. Even in the RVs right now, you have the guys at the top who are very confused because the RVs aren't pushing through. And now their energy, it's almost it feels like an internal harvesting within their own groups. Okay, can you hear me? I have no noise. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the guys at the top are starting to crash as far as energetic because this should have gone a long, long time ago. So what I would like to do is clarify the particular reevaluations and not one particular currency because it's all tied in together. Okay, the RVs, they have nothing behind the RVs. And you have Basel III, right? Everyone has to use their in-ground assets. Don't pull them out, though. Well, every time they pull in-ground assets out, they just sort of disappear. So if you keep them in-ground, all of a sudden you can just point to them because every time they pull them out, they disappear and then they don't have them and they can't actually show anyone, when they come forward and say, we want to see our gold. And the gold's not there and they can't show them. So you have these reevaluations and they're supposedly based on physical assets, tangible assets. Well, none of the titles are there. They have no ownership. There's no underwriting to the reevaluations. No underwriting at all. But here's the thing. They can underwrite. Any embodiment can underwrite the reevaluations. Any of them. However, for the groups, the divines, or any other roles that we've also referred to as powers that were, they don't underwrite them because there's a limited value that they see that they have, and they want more and more and more and more, but they don't know how to generate it themselves. If they do know how to generate it themselves, they still don't want to use it because they want to use everyone else's. That's just how the hierarchies and the structures have gone for eons, for the experiment, for this moment now. Okay? So any embodiment could go and underwrite it. And the more you give for the highest good of every embodiment, the more your abundance flows. So you could have just one embodiment underwrite all other embodiments, and the RVs can go. However, whoever underwrites that RV actually, technically, under legal systems that have formerly existed, owns everything, and they can dictate how things go. Okay? So there was a post that Dee had done, and she left one piece out, but it was a post essentially where I said something, and then we lost our signal, and I was laughing, saying, I think everyone just fell out of their chairs and nobody's manning the monitors. Okay, so I understood that any embodiment could underwrite the RV. So I had said, the part that she left out was, I said, okay, I'll give her my signature. I'll underwrite it so that it can go. Because I know it's a tool. There's so many embodiments that are really, they hung their hat on that RV. They hung their hat on the RV, saying that once it happened, they could then do. They could then be. So if that's a tool that the people need, fine. I'll underwrite it. And this is all about energy. The value systems and the part that you saw, which was the monetary system, it is all energetic. I think even Keenan and those guys finally admitted, they were so excited Heather doesn't want the global collateral accounts. It's because it was already gone. It was already irrelevant. And they then sort of had this aha moment, and then they got really mad again and said, well, what is money? It's just energy. It's a representation of energy. So everyone's sort of getting it now. Okay, so I said I would give my signature. That's what I said, and that's when Dee and I lost all the stuff, and I started laughing because, I could really hear people falling out of their chairs, and nobody was manning the monitors, and phone calls were happening. And here's the thing. Yes, I know that if I underwrite it, or any embodiment underwrites it, which everyone has the power to do, you then own the entire system and where it goes. But then again, in my case, I have no interest in owning anything. I have no interest in doing anything other than empowering every embodiment. So that's where it all goes. And once you state something, this is absolute current. This is absolute transparency in this moment, this finale. Okay? So what happens is that if I underwrite it, they already know where it's going to go. They know it's going to go to every embodiment. And that the parts of the slavery systems, the former systems that you did not see, they know what's going to happen there too, because it's the same thing. The energetics. And that's what every moment of enforcement has been, that at least that I've been consciously doing. Going within their ranks and causing certain events so they start asking questions within their own ranks. And they start looking at data that it was not visible before. So for the perceived galactics, for instance, it was hearing for the first time, me swinging into consciousness, that the Akashic records had been altered and manufactured, fabricated in some parts, and that there was a clean set. Once I swung in that there was a clean set, that's what they did. They went and compared. They went and started asking questions. And then you could see in a lot of the purported channelings and messages and everything else, there was sort of a moment of chaos, almost a feeling of conflict, a feeling of questioning. And then it evens out because you have a lot of people campaigning. Okay? And that's okay because it was all a part of everyone moving to absolute truth, but via their own tools of resonance. Okay, so with this RV, here's how it goes. If anyone underwrites it and then sends it out, because it's already delivered, that's a part of the absolute plan. It was already delivered before the experiment began, and it's just swinging it into focus and everyone being aware of it. Okay, and I'll give you what you guys would call a 3D example, Chris and Lisa and Bob, is that, for instance, you have the purported IRS, the alleged IRS, okay, or any tax authority, purported tax authority body. If they can't show their authority, they can't show their standing, they demand that you pay something, and now we have these reports that supposedly some members of the IRS are actually admitting that taxes, at least for the IRS, are voluntary, right? So if everyone stopped paying these voluntary payments, all of a sudden they wouldn't have the ability, they wouldn't have anyone paying energy into them for them to be able to do any kind of unlawful or illegal enforcement, right? Well, it's kind of the same thing with the financial system, the banks and everything else. My goal has always been no manifestation of energy is ever wasted. There's always purpose. Okay, and that everything has the opportunity to repurpose itself in this moment, because it is all absolutely eternal essence embodied. And if I can't recognize an embodiment as being eternal essence, then I do negate and null and void and cancel out my own eternal essence. And I'm not prepared to do that. I'm not willing to do that. So the RV, absolutely. I would underwrite it, and I have no problem, even if my value, I find out later, is limited in some way, I still would do it. And I've already put out there that I would. And any embodiment can do that. Any embodiment. And you actually draw behind you anything you spend, energy-wise, or in any representation of your energy, everything you spend when it is for the highest good of all, it magnetically draws behind it all abundance. Exponentially and perpetually. That's all there is abundance. Absent limits. So that's with the RV. I know that there are a lot of the upper-ups within the RV that are very confused, very upset, very drained, tired. So with absolute love, there's the data. And everyone can go and review the data, dissect the data, see what resonates within, and see what other data points there are to verify, what is. Because absolute truth verifies and vets the same from every point on the sphere of absolute truth. Okay? So that's the two clarifications I wanted to make, and I really appreciate everyone allowing me to do that. And I'll pass it back over to Lisa.
Okay, that's Swissindo and RV.
Could I ask one? Yeah, could I ask just one question of Heather?
Mm.
You there still, Heather?
I can. Can she hear me? Heather, can you hear Chris? 1 second.
Okay.
It's a real grade A student.
Leave a message. I can leave. I'm here.
Heather, I just had one question as a follow-up.
Sure.
Thanks for the data. I'm getting a really bad echo here. If you can kill it, that's possible.
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. If there's one thing that en masse people could do that would really move this process along, such as not paying taxes, not paying mortgages, point at something that if, as a large group, the general population would really accelerate this whole process of self-education. Does anything pop out as one thing you could suggest?
Yeah, it's the same thing I always say. It's be and do. Everything that you do, and I'll give you an example. Because I said I'd be transparent, I'd be very direct. Last night, Chris, for instance, everything you be and you do, just ask the question. Is this being and doing causing separation? Can it cause separation? Am I causing separation? Is that my intent? Or is it causing oneness, isness, unity? Ask that question of anything you think, everything you say, or anything you do. So be and do, right? And last night when you were speaking, Chris, I had no intent of talking or getting on, but everything that I was hearing, the courtesy notices were a beautiful tool because it really did show how many people were awake, how many people were actually standing up and doing. It was a wonderful tool. It is a wonderful tool. But the question now is something causing separation? If you're attached to the tool, it's very hard to see when the tool no longer serves. If you're not attached to the tool, but you're attached to the goal, the intent of what you actually created a tool or took a tool to address, then you will always be able to see when that tool no longer serves, or there's better tools, or you're inspired to create now tools. Because every moment you use those courtesy notices, you're creating a now moment, and it's built on all the others. And the data has changed, and therefore perhaps even the tools have changed. So that's why I got on last night, because I feel I know that this is the last moment of separation that everyone's having. It's the last experience of separation before the unity, before the oneness, before the isness. Okay, so as far as what can they do, what can they be, go in and look at the tools you're using. Ask, is this separation or is this isness? And what do I choose? Do I want separateness or do I want isness and oneness? If you do that simple thing, I'm not saying go out and stop paying your mortgage, stop doing this or that, because it may not resonate for people. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I'm just saying do. And do so aware, in an aware state. Just ask the question. There's no right or wrong. Have fun with it. I watched everyone have fun with the tools that they had and that they were using, even the courtesy notices, the stories that were coming out, and the effectiveness of when it was coming out. And I watched agents in all the different rooms, agents of the principles of the former systems, in there trying to manipulate the energy or affect the magnetic fields. I still see some of the agents. And I see agents of the agents, and we've even seen some of the principles come out because the agents are ineffective. I've got to say, the people being and doing, when I asked that question back in December, I thank you so much, absolutely, from my heart. I have not been bored. I have had absolute fun the entire time, and you have inspired me. You have expanded me to keep doing and being, absent limit. So I thank you, and I give you absolute gratitude, and I return in kind all the energy and more. So, Chris, does that answer your question? The answer has always been visible, and I've spoken it many times.
Yeah, I understand your perspective, and I'm simply putting this to you because of the degree of angst. Well, not angst. There is a fair bit of, not a fair bit, a great deal of anxiety and suffering on the ground by people throughout this entire period of time, which I feel, and which I'd like to do something about. And it's you know there's a level of frustration.
That's one reason I went and did what I did. I sat there and I'd watched people lose their homes. I sat there and gone over and vetted $50 billion, $100 billion assets in mutual funds and seen the houses back behind it and watched the people lose it. Why? Because people were holding on to data. Why? Because people were holding on to ego and just could not detach themselves from holding on to the data and their own agendas. So what do? I went in and I looked, at least for me, I looked at what skills do I have? What knowledge do I have that I can share with people? What positions and contacts do I have that I'm able to utilize to bring that data out? Because in bank, trade, and finance, knowledge is the currency. The representation, the money, they even know that it's representation. They don't care about it because they can print it. What they care about is the knowledge. That's what they sell. Then they use it to go and buy short, sell long, whatever it is, cut out the floors of the markets. what does it really matter as far as representation when you have the knowledge? That's what I focused on. I looked at to see what doing could I do that would have the most impact and help the people the most. Okay, so I went in, and I think some people are still under the impression that I have that house that I used for the test case. Now, I never said anything because it was irrelevant. They never touched it. They were afraid to. And when I went in on December 25th and launched all of this, one of their particular seraph swung into focus about his own house and asked about mine. And I hadn't even looked at it. It was February, I think, beginning of February. And I looked, and they had put it on auction like 2 days before he even brought it up, which for me is always a curious synchronicity when someone swings into focus something that is completely irrelevant. And they were hoping that I would put energy into going and taking care of that matter, that my ego would be so attached to that home, to that piece of property, that I would get distracted and not follow through or really pay my energy into getting you guys all the data that I had access to. And no, I wasn't attached to that. No, my ego was not, ego's not a part of it, because if it is, they've already won. Indeed. And so the house, I'm not even sure what happened to it. I know it was on auction, but I've been there. I had to experience all of it, because if I sit and I speak and I haven't experienced it, for me, that is deception. For me, that is not absolute truth. So I do know what these people are feeling, the ones that you're referring to, Chris, at least that I can see that your energy is holding on to. And all I can say is, for me to push through, I knew that was the solution. Push through the data, push through the assistance of all the embodiments that were willing to assist themselves. I've seen such incredible success stories, yet the ones that you're focusing on are the ones that aren't in your perception. And for me, okay, I see it. I'm not ignoring it. In fact, it's inspiring me to even go further and with more directness, more transparency, and more love. Because I also know that those that are in there taking those are now seeing it. Why? Because you and all the other people went and you did what you be. You do what you be. Those courtesy notices were a beautiful tool. And now all of those who did not have access to that data of all the foreclosures and their principals, their superiors knowing, they went into their offices and their water coolers and they started asking questions. And they know because they have access to data the public doesn't. So they know that you're right. They know that you're right.
Well, here's the thing, that what's become very clear to myself and to some of the people that I sort of get into in-depth discussions with is the next tool that we need to use, we've already built, which is the mechanism for communicating en masse with the system, in addition to courtesy notices, which is the absolute data exchange approach of just keeping that information pumping into the system. I see that as the next tool. Now, we've built that ourselves. I mean, that's something that we've done. That is the one people have done this, and it's, our voice is what needs to be heard next. That's what I'm feeling, to push this process to its completion. So, if being and doing is it, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the point. It's funny. We actually talked about a global network a year and a half ago when we were going through preparations and, working. That's what we're seeing, was a global network, being able to talk to everyone. And I have this question from people all the time, the I, the you, the Project 13. Caleb, he saw a necessity. He saw that there was space for a tool that people could rely on, that they actually owned as far as their own data. Where can I put my data where I own it and I know someone's not going to take it off? Because we had that experience with Facebook. I went onto Facebook, started playing with the magnetic field. And I could see the energy signatures behind Zuckerberg. And I knew already the deals that had been cut with Zuckerberg in the very beginning anyways. Watching that and then being cut off, or having Skype conversations and not having clear connections. Why? People thought it was because I was in Morocco. No. It gets cut off when I happen to say a particular list which has gotten longer of words or topics. Okay, and it's not just me. Everyone that I've worked with has experienced that at some moment or another. Does it matter? No. I opened the door, and that was the big point going in, was that I'll be transparent. Even if you won't be, I will go ahead and be transparent, and we'll go from there. You'll know every step of the way. Because if there's something wrong that I'm doing, believe me, they let me know. Anyone would let me know, because it won't resonate with them, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll say, okay, it was a great refining tool. If they could stop it, they would. They couldn't, so it was spot on. And that was just one of the tools going through. As far as Project 13, yeah, I love Project 13 because it's a different energetics. You know, it's not harvesting my data. Everyone knows Skype is free, Gmail's free, Google's free. Why is it free? Because they get paid advertisers that come on, and they basically buy your data. Do I have an issue with that? Well, I just see that there's a different alternative. I know that your data is worth something. Your medical records get sold over and over and over and over, and not just to other medical facilities or big pharma or the labs or anything like that, but also to advertising companies, because they use that bio data in order to know what are you most likely, what's most likely going to push your buttons or drive your spending patterns. Especially in the beauty industry, the health industry, the light workers community industry, all of that. So if I have a particular place where I can put my data and I can choose who I share with, then it becomes a matter of me going out and refining my skills, my social skills. So this UV exchange is separate, right? Because UV's actually been happening this whole entire time since the beginning of the experiment. It's happening here. These guys came to Morocco. All these beautiful people who are communicating through them, you know, in their chat rooms and everything else, are able to see firsthand. So I just opened my house. I said, fine, come in and just see. You may not like what you find, you know, and yeah, you have full access. You just use your tools of resonance and decide and determine for yourself. And I'll be absolutely transparent. So now they are sitting here having a UV exchange, and they're receiving data that they can touch, that they can speak to, and it's been an incredible experience. And they're actually experiencing, I should say, not learning, they're remembering and experiencing what real value is and how exchanges work. And it's drawing any and every representation and tool that they desire, whether it's in the form of FRNs, whether it's in the form of gold or contacts, whether it's in form of data, or just an awakening within them because something's swinging into focus and they're expanding their tools and their talents. Okay, so in the UV exchange and all that, you want a tool to make it visible. There are some, like my husband, who it's not, unless it's visible for him, it doesn't exist. So these are tools. Caleb's making a tool where we can actually communicate. And let's say I own a store and I see everyone, if I'm aware and looking for this, how can I grow my business? And I start to see everyone going, I have value, no matter what the old systems tell me, I have value. And I sit there and I go, I know I can actually have more abundance for me, my family, and help empower others if I start accepting everyone's value in whatever form they present it. Maybe they come in and they say, hey, can I, weed your grass? Can I go ahead and make these things for you and have you sell them in the store? Whatever it may be. And then they're going to say, I'm going to accept all kinds of value at this point. Why limit my abundance? And then they may have suppliers that they want to go find that is of the same resonance. They don't want to limit their abundance, so they're going to start accepting all kinds of forms of value. And I think it's wonderful, whatever they want to do, but to have a social place where they can go and talk without it being cut, without it being copied or interrupted or influenced, that's why I liked what Caleb was creating. And we had actually had Charlie Miller and others ask Caleb to make something similar to this, not actually fathoming what he's created because he hasn't spoken about all the elements yet, which are there. And it's, for me, I love it. It's beautiful, and it's going to expand. But it was at the time kind of like, okay, well, if you get the funds together, I will spend the time. And you know what? Caleb saw everyone have this change on the energetics around him because he works a lot with energetics. And he saw the effect you guys all had, we all had, with all the tools we were doing in the awareness. And he said, I can create something, a tool that actually will match the resonance and the energetics of what everyone's collectively created. So he went in and started Project 13, what he calls Project 13. And I would like to have any kind of tools that you need for you to use and know your value that's not going to be interrupted or unduly influenced, that you have unencumbered use and access and exchange tools to share with everyone else. So I hope that answers your question as far as how do you do this, the UV exchange. I agree with you. So put it on, get a social network that's not interrupted, that's not harvested, and go and start speaking to each other, communicate to each other. And if they shut down the internet, I love the bills and legislation about internet, and they're trying to put it under the control of the United Nations and all that. That was last year when all that was happening. And I just was laughing because if they do that, and they know if they do that, the absolute tech which they simulated for the internet will actually come out, because you will always have what you require when you require it.
Indeed. Okay, so what you're telling me is actually really just confirming what I think our next major push needs to be to overlay the effect that courtesy notices have. Just to go back to my original question of what to do next. And what you're telling me is that, in fact, we've already started doing it. Because the enforcement as a group that we have is something that we really need to swing into play at this moment to deliver this message to the rest of the collective.
No, Chris, you don't have to do anything. The more energy you pay, Chris, into you actually pay energy into every embodiment. Okay? I love what you've done, but you're not the sum of what you produce. I'm excited to see the next doings of everyone, and I'm excited to see my own doings and to experience my own doings. They're quantum jump pads. Just look to see if what I'm, sit there and this is what I do. I sit there and I say, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, is this moving me to separation or unity? Isness. That's all I do. And yes, a lot of the tools, a lot of the disclosures, they were to create the separate, or not to create the separateness, but to swing into focus the separateness. Because then we could swing into focus the unity and the isness. And then the contrast is there and people can make an informed choice. That was the whole point of the end of OPPT. It had already completed its job, but it still had to do the notice. And that was the best way I knew how to do the notice. Swing things into focus and then give them a whole new experience by going in and creating an opportunity to be one, to be isness. And you guys did that with every step. We did that with every step.
So how is it that, because, you're telling me that what I'm putting forward, that we should all work together to communicate with the rest of the collective as to the reality of the situation. How is that not leading to oneness and isness? That's pulling people together to work on a problem.
To a banker, it's a perception. If I'm sitting there talking to a banker and it may be handled differently. In fact, I was talking to a banker today. I sat there and I was talking to a banker and who happens to live close by. All I felt was absolute love, and I know that I can go in and I can help them co-create an opportunity, which is already done. It's all done. Create an opportunity where they can repurpose and they can actually abundantly do and create abundance. I don't see where I have to take anyone down. I know I don't have to.
Heather, I'm not talking about taking anyone down. I'm talking about pushing more information into the collective so that it understands what's going on at every level.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was referring to what you were saying last night with the courtesy notices and going in and
that's just
with the
delivering
bankers
information
and taking
that's
the bank down. So
but
I'm sorry. I still got that conversation in my head.
Yeah, you saw Chase Binney and the way that he delivered information into the system.
Yeah, I loved
that young man.
And I loved how he was in there, and he's wonderful. And there's many stories like that.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about viewing this as a fight. That's not what I was talking about. It's not a fight. It's delivering information, delivering it with the right intent to people who are just like us. That's what that whole idea is all about. You guys were chopping in and out, so you probably missed some of the conversation, but the intention that we have with this, the whole idea of pushing forward on communicating, is to actually just inform and educate. There's no fight in here, because as you said, the fight's already done. We've just got to bring everybody up to speed. That's what it's all about. So the oneness and isness is absolutely a part of this campaign. It can't be anything else, because fighting is what they do. Right?
Well,
that's we're going to leave that behind.
But it's not they're actually embodiments that are playing a role to make us so that we can all come to this moment of understanding and knowing.
Yes, you're absolutely correct in what you say. Thank you for correcting me, because that's a perspective I need to make sure I keep in my head. It's very easy to go back and do us.
You have it in heart, Chris. I know you have it in heart, because I talked to you many, many times outside of these radio shows. You have it in heart, and it's a point of going in and just swinging into focus. So thank you. I really appreciate the clarification on that.
Oh, absolute data.
Absolute data. So, okay. Did I answer your question, Chris?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we haven't actually gotten to any callers yet, so do you want to get to that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'd better, actually.
We have area code 757. Area code 757? No?
Hello?
Oh, there we go. Hello?
Okay. Peace. How's everyone doing tonight?
Very good. Who do we have here?
My name is Sister Isa, and I've been following this movement since it first began.
I didn't catch your first name again?
My name is Sister Isa.
Isa. Okay.
Yes. And I just want to say peace and love to all. I've been following this movement since it first began, trying to keep abreast of the situation and the different changes. And I just ask that we have full transparency when I ask these questions. The first question I'd like to ask, I first like to clarify and say that more times than not, I don't even understand what Heather's saying or anyone else on the show is saying, because it's a lot of laughing and a lot of joking and not very much getting to the point of why everyone originally came here. I think a lot of people here are more afraid to say, hey, why I was attracted to this whole movement was because it offered me a chance to have a freedom from the slavery system where I'm weighted down with debt. So, no one calls in and says really what they mean, I don't think, anymore. But I will. I'm going to speak for the masses who really want to know, when is the IUV going to be released? And I'm talking about monetary, tangible, physical manifestations of money that we can hold in our hand to pay off a mortgage, to pay a car note. I mean, I have people that are homeless, who have children that are homeless, really living on the street, who I've told this about this movement, and everybody's waiting. And, I mean, what's really going on here? Where's the IUV money that we can access right away? Because we've all paid energy into this movement. Well, who's benefiting? Because right now we're still in the same position we were in before, even with the being and the doing. I know people that have went to banks and handed out courtesy notices and been laughed out of the bank. What's really going on here? And I just want clear answers. I don't want to hear about data and value and accessing my value. The people originally came for one reason, and that was to find out when they could have access to monetary, tangible money in their hand to stop these horrible people who are encroaching on us and stealing our value, stealing our hard work money. I mean, everyone's at a point where the energy is not exactly flowing the way Heather thinks it's still flowing. I don't know if she thinks it is, but I don't feel it is. The energy is people at a place where they're frustrated and just really trying to overstand this whole movement we're in right now. So if we could just have a clear answer on when the IUV is actually going to be released, when we're actually going to have our hands on valuable money that we can use. There was talk about a $10 billion before. Where's the $10 billion that everyone was going to receive? Where's the money coming from?
Sweetie, did you actually read those documents?
Yeah, I did read all the documents, and like I said, majority of the documents, I don't even understand it. The language in it is, I kind of
what you got out of it was
figure out. Go ahead.
You read the documents, you didn't quite understand them. But
right, and I think there's many people that haven't. I mean, I'm in the chat room, and most people don't understand either. We just want to understand, when do we get our hands on tangible money that we can pay bills with, that we can feed our children with, that we can take care of ourselves, and then we can work on the rest. Because if you don't have a base to begin at, you can't be and do if you're starving. If you don't have food, you don't have water, you don't have money, what can we do? Well, how do we be and do when we have absolutely nothing at this point? I'm trying to understand it. Where do I sum up and drum up this energy inside my spirit to keep doing, to keep being, when I don't even have a leg to stand on?
Hey, caller, what's your name?
Huh?
What's your name?
My name is Isa, I-S-A, Isa. And, I mean, I'm saying this with utmost respect. I've been following this movement, but we just want to know, when do we have tangible money?
Well,
I'm asking for a crowd of people.
Isa, I appreciate you speaking from your heart. This is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hello. And Heather just went to the restroom. She'll be back in a second. I'm sure she'd be glad to answer your question. And I do realize that you're speaking on behalf of a lot of people that that you've spoke to that feel the same way as you do. But there's also a lot of other people. This information has attracted a substantially large audience from many countries. And when you say that everybody only came here for one reason, and that's because they want money, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, you might be speaking for yourself and for some of the other group, but that's definitely not why everybody came here. It's definitely not why I came here. When I originally read the documents, I read them to understand it was about getting $10 billion too. But then when I read them deeper, I realized, well, wait a second, there's nothing in there that says everybody's going to get $10 billion. But I just want you to know, Heather just walked back in. I'm going to let her address your question. You might just have to summarize it for her once again.
No, I get it.
Okay,
so here's Heather. Hold on one second, Isa.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Isa, and I just want to send you peace and love and let you know, as a woman, I appreciate what you are doing, this feminine movement, because it is a feminine energy that's taking over the earth. So to let you know, I do appreciate you and everything you're doing. But I have a question that I'm sure a lot of callers, a lot of people on the chat are very interested in. I mean, we're all interested in the energy, and we're all meditating and trying our hardest to manifest and send light and love forward. But when are we actually going to be able to have physical, tangible, monetary wealth in our hands to get us out of this situation that we're in? I mean, people are homeless, no food, children, no food. Our mortgages are getting foreclosed upon. It's really, really bad. I mean, there's no jobs in the system at all. When do we actually see some benefit from all the energy we've been putting forward to this movement?
Well, so if you look at the energetics of this, and it really is a matter of going in and looking at your tools of resonance. So I'm going to put this out there, and then you can choose how to dissect, discuss, okay, is that everyone is playing a role. If you imagine this, where all the embodiments are playing a role, and the ones that are in the perceived hardest positions right now are the ones that actually are the strongest to go in and make this happen. You have to have the contrast there in order to make these informed choices. So my absolute gratitude and inspiration, you and many others, and I went through it, but I always knew that I could go and get out at any moment. So the fact that you guys are in there and losing homes and there are no jobs, because it's one thing to lose a home and not have the opportunity for a job by design and not yours, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
As opposed to going in and losing your home on purpose just to use it as a tool to ferret things out, and yet I know I can go and have a job in a heartbeat so that I can go and manifest another home.
Right.
So in reality, you are my heroes. And going in and having 2 coins to rub together to buy a cup of coffee is the term that we would use in bank, trade, and finance. That is happening now. And all the stuff that has not been visible is going to be swung into visibility, and it's already started. But as far as the mass public, that is starting this week.
Okay, so just to understand, you're saying
there will be announcements. All the communities are moving, and they've been moving. And if you heard my discussion regarding, for instance, let's say the RV, the tool of the RV, because it is just a tool, but the tool of the RV, for instance, and why things have not gone, if you understand or know the energetics of how it actually works, and that money is representation of the value, and how there has been no underwriting because the value that's out there has been harvested and taken up, not for the betterment of all the embodiments. So if one embodiment goes in to underwrite it, and I'm not saying it has to be me or any other particular embodiment, but just one of them, well, that's what's happening now. So a lot of stuff that has been locked up is now being freed up. And it's all coming to the people so that they can use it. They can tangibly touch it. And all of the housing, property issues, all of that's changing too for absolute data. Ownership has been a huge tool of separation and division. Absolutely a huge tool of separation and division. It allowed them to create borders, which are all an illusion as well. When the earth was created, it didn't come with borders. It didn't come with corporations or CEOs or any of that. It just is.
Okay.
And if you look to the tribes, it wasn't a matter of this is tribal territory or anything like that. That didn't exist either until the corporations came in. So it's really a matter of having a cooperation. So you're going to start to see a lot of changes, but it took all these moments of meditation, of thinking, of creating to make this all visible. So I thank you, Issa, and I thank everyone else, because now's the moment for everyone to have everything visible and to enjoy it consciously. Does that answer your question, Issa?
Yeah, it does answer it a little bit better. So basically you're saying in a nutshell that it's going to be opening this week or in the next couple of weeks so everyone can experience not only monetary relief, Brian, but spiritual, emotional, mental relief, because unfortunately under the system that we're under right now, your monetary wealth is connected to your spiritual, your emotional, and your mental wealth, because when you can't take care of your responsibilities, you feel stressed. It throws you off balance. I know this as a healer myself, that it throws people off balance. And the one thing that people come to me the most for is either love, money, or physical healing. So these things do affect all of us, and they all have a connection. So I think that's even though Brian says everyone's not concerned, I just don't believe that everyone originally came here just for the energy part. I believe it was a conglomeration of all of it together that made people want to get involved.
Energy, Issa. It's all energy.
Right.
Money, currencies, and all of that, the whole system was limited in order to manage the energy better.
Right.
And energy is all that is. And all that is a true essence. So, as far as this money and separating money from spiritual and money from health and all of this, it's actually all one. Value is all that you can create. So if you imagine absent limit and then do what you imagine. I mean, really think about that statement. So value is not just monetary. Monetary just happens to be a representation of the actual value, which is you. Absolutely. And your ability to see everything and the oneness and the isness in it and just go create. You know, what has happened in the last, since December, that all came out with, you know, no budget, yet everyone was drawn to contribute whatever they contributed from their own heart, whether it was printing flyers, whether it was postage, whether it was opening up blog spots and paying the subscription fees to have a blog. All of that was a choice by each individual embodiment, yet for the collective good, because someone had something to say and they thought other people may find that data and have resonance with it. And even if they didn't, at least it was out there so that we could find resonance with whatever it was that resonated within. So,
Heather, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, when you explain that if you don't do something, sometimes you feel like your body's going to burst.
Yeah.
I'm having one of those moments. Because monitoring some of the chat rooms, and not necessarily what Isra has said, but just monitoring the chat room, monitoring some of the comments that I've had today, it's like, okay, Heather, you did this amazing job, and you did something on behalf of all of us, and you got it up to a certain point. Now, can you please finish the job for me? Can you please bring it home for me and do the rest of the work for me? And I've invested so much into this movement because I spent $100 on paper and postage on courtesy.
Right. Right.
But Heather spent over $1 million doing the investigation. It cost Heather over $1 million to get to the point that she got to by July 25 last year. And that doesn't include what she's done since.
Right, absolutely.
So this whole idea
and again, absolute gratefulness to Heather. And what can we do as the people who are here who don't have money? What can we do to help? What can we do to push it further, quicker, launch it quicker? What can we do, even if we don't have money? What else could we do besides meditating? You
do, Isa. You look at what tools you have available. You start communicating with those around you, and you start imagining absent limits and then doing what you imagine. You don't have to have money or currency in your pocket. I love Flow. Prince, when the first moment I heard him, I felt the energy, and it inspired me. And I went and I did even more, and a lot of people did. And then certain agents went in and tried to influence him and get him to ask this question, I have no money, I have none of this or that, how can I do, what can I do, I'm losing this, I'm losing that, and it was a matter of getting him to focus and pay energy into what he did not have, yet he had everything. He has everything. And he went in and all of a sudden some money manifested for him, and instead of going in to make sure he had a place to stay for a month, because the money he had maybe it was a month of being able to stay somewhere with a shelter over his head or food on his back. No, he knew it was important to get his energy out there and to make sure people were awake. And I watched agents go in and focus intently on changing his magnetic field so he could not alter anyone else's. That's one example.
Right.
So just be and do. And whatever that is, whatever it manifests for you, I can tell you this. Follow the excitement. If you follow something that excites you and you're passionate about, all the abundance follows behind it. And he actually ended up getting a job because of the excitement he put out there and his ability, whether it was conscious or unconscious, of changing the magnetic fields around others and exciting them. He actually got a job, from what I remember. He got a stint on was it radio, Brian?
I think so, yeah.
And now he's got a job and he's out there because he followed the excitement and the passion. So maybe, Isa, look at that.
Yeah.
Look to see what the excitement and the passion is for you.
That's just one example, too. I mean, it's really hard. We can't come on these shows and we can't say there's one uniform approach to going out there and being and doing. That's why when, Heather was saying before, when Chris asked the question, what can everybody do? There's no simple answer to that. Like for me, I knew, my heart told me, I'm not playing this old game anymore. I'm moving on. and I'm going to follow my own highest excitement, and I'm going to see where it takes me. So I quit my job. I quit my job knowing that I had no job to back it up. And everybody at my office was like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I don't know. I'm going to follow my heart and see where it takes me. And everybody thought I was crazy. You have a great job. You have retirement. You have health insurance. You're just going to leave that and you have no other job? That's nuts. I said, yeah. You know what's more nuts? Staying here when I have absolutely no passion to put into this anymore. And so I started my blog. And I started radio shows. And I stopped paying my taxes. And I stopped paying my car payment. And I refused to pay the DMV. And I'm not giving any more energy to the old paradigm because I decided that it's my mission in this world to blaze a trail, create a new way, and inspire others to do the same and follow their hearts and follow their passion and do what they love and follow their highest excitement. And here I am now in Morocco. You know, for me, that's like I can look in the mirror every day and I say, whoa, you have something that you can share with other people. And for anybody that's willing to listen, if it's only one person, I can die a happy man today because I can look in the mirror and say, I made a choice to follow my heart, do what I love, and create a new way and stop paying any energies into the old way and following down a system that I just don't believe in anymore. And it's opened up doors in my life that I would have never, ever, ever thought imaginable. And so everybody has the ability to do that. There just isn't one way to do it. It's an individual choice, and everybody has to go into their heart and ask themselves, what can we do? And so, yes, the stage is being set to allow a lot more freedom in following your heart and doing what you love. But there's no need to wait around for anything. I got sick of waiting. What am I waiting for? I'm just going to do this now. And, you know, if there's anything that I have to go through that might be difficult or a challenge for me, that's just an opportunity for growth. And I know that I'll come out of it on top, having learned some amazing lesson that I probably designed well before I came here to begin with. So
okay.
I hope that inspires you, and I appreciate your position. I appreciate you calling in, and I can feel the love in your heart, and I know you just want answers, and I understand, and we love you. And so
I love all of you guys too. I absolutely love and adore all you guys too, and I adore this whole movement. I'm absolutely grateful, and I hope that we're all successful as a collective, and that everyone is all this pain and anguish and all this stuff that they've put on us is lifted off. You know, I pray for everybody that we all receive bliss. That's the perfect word, bliss. So thank you.
I know it's already done. Isa, thank you so much for holding that light and love and making sure that it swung into conscious for many. So thank you.
Thanks for calling, Isha.
Okay, bye-bye.
Much love to you.
Okay, we have area code 773.
Hey, hi, this is Carlos from Los Angeles.
Hello, Carlos.
How are you doing?
Mexican amigo.
I have yeah, thanks. I have a question for Heather, but I'm going to ask if she can go to Lisa's mic, because that's very clear on that mic. It's about Suicindo. And my question is, I remember, I think there was an invitation for Suicindo to contact you guys, and I don't know if they ever responded or not, but I guess what the real question is, let's say, let's pretend that I was one of them. What do you want to know from them, or what do you want to tell them? Unless I missed that on the first part because it was kind of choppy.
You said this question was for Heather or for everyone?
For Heather, for you, Heather. Thanks.
For me? There's nothing I need to know from Suicindo. I get all the energetic data in different ways. I have a lot of communications with them, but in, again, all ways. So I have had some recent messaging through the translator, through someone that, Ani Forrest, who has passed on a message and translated it for me, and I received one back today, and it is all done. And I really love and appreciate the role all of these guys are playing, all of these embodiments are playing. just so we can finish this final moment of the finale. So I don't have any questions for Swisindo. I have the data. I just really enjoy experiencing as they experience. It is all done. It just is not done in the way all expected.
Great, thanks. And one more question. This is kind of like a comment too. I hope I don't. Well, I'm gonna say it anyway. I know Caleb is really, really proficient on the Windows platform, and that's why he's doing it, and I'm really grateful he's doing it. But I think also Microsoft is one of the biggest harvesting of all.
I wish people would stop generalizing statements and saying they're speaking for everybody.
Did I get cut off?
Nope, I'm here, but there's somebody else speaking.
Okay.
As well.
All I want to say is I really like to see that as I give the people on the Linux community the opportunity to expand it, because I think that's where it really will grow much faster because all the open source people are there. And I know you probably already contemplated that. So that's it.
I'll go in. Your comment Carlos, before you move on, like about Microsoft being the biggest harvester. Look, Caleb and almost everyone who knows me knows that I am not a fan of Microsoft. And I think one of my good friends, last I heard, he was one of their chief counsels. Microsoft, for whatever it is, has been an incredible tool to put us all into this moment of now, just as all the tools were. Okay, so Microsoft, Caleb went in and said, okay, what tools do we have and that people have access to as well? For instance, he went in and he did the Microsoft app for the Microsoft phone, and he has two other guys that went in and did the iPhone app. Now, iPhone, for instance, will charge 30% of it takes 30% of every transaction that goes across its app. So that's one consideration that we had to go in and say, okay, here's the best thing we can do. We'll make a desk app so everyone can do transactions, any kind of financial transactions. They could do them through their desk app instead of using their iPhone app for that specific purpose, but they could use their iPhone app for everything else on Project 13. And another thing was put out the data that, hey, if you have an iPhone, here's what the data is. They're going to take 30% of any transaction that you do. So if you're transferring $1,000, they're going to take 30% on top of that. And then, of course, someone's going to say, well, now I got to add 30%. And then all of a sudden, everyone's going to forget that 30% was actually to cover the iPhone expense. And then they're going to say, oh, I'm going to add another 30% because it just sort of gets built in and you forget. So one thing we said was we'll just put the data out there and then people can make a choice. You know, if I have an iPhone, which I did have one before, is I have to make a choice. Is it cheaper for me to go buy a Microsoft phone or just to do it off of my desktop than use an iPhone? Or do I just keep my iPhone? There's so many considerations that are going on, but that's just one minute example. Kayla's really going in there and saying, this is what the people are asking for, and then taking all of the requests and creating Project 13 so that you have something solid, you have a place that you control all your value, all your data, and you have nobody that can go in and snoop, pick it up, take it, sell it without your permission. So he's considering all the technical aspects, and I'm assisting with like the financial, transactions and things like that, and what the I and the UV actually looks like, because we're not plugging that in. You know, the minute that it launches, IUV, I really wanted people to see the separateness of the compartmentalization, I should say, of what Project 13 is, because it was a doing. It was a doing, and he had absolute love for everyone, and he put out value. He's been paying monthly checks to the guys who have been putting value in to assist him in getting it done. But he's put out value. He's not asking for anyone to pay him value back, but at the same time, do you take something and say, I'm entitled to this, Caleb, give me your doing? I'm just as bad as the guys that stole my value or who stole your value. But yet, then again, we are all just embodiments playing a role, and we had to have that contrast. At this moment, nobody can steal anything. If it's in your awareness, they can't take it. If you be, they can't manage it and commandeer it. Just be and do. So I hope that explains a little bit about Project 13 and the things that Caleb's thinking of and considering. He has so much that he's considering that his body needed a rest, and the whole iPhone app team ended up getting sick as well, and yet these guys are plugging through and making sure this gets out as soon as possible. And luckily, Caleb has a really great support system that's helping him and healing him while he's doing this. So I hope that's a little bit of an insight for you.
Yes, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the stuff. I'm not complaining. I'm just waiting to start doing on that platform. That's my point.
Don't wait to do, but yes, on that platform, I get that. But don't wait for the platform to do. It'll come and swing around, and that's a tool you can use too. Because Carlos, we've had many conversations on and heard you on the radio shows. You always ask the questions, and you go in and you do. And then I like to hear what you've done and what everyone else has done. Don't wait for anything. Just do.
No, yeah, like I said, in that platform, but yes, I'm doing my courtesy notice and informing people and just being happy, because one of the real things that I learned from all this from you guys is the spiritual freedom that I've gotten. I'm already happy the way it is. I mean, I'm just waiting for that more fun to come when I start using those other tools. And maybe while I use those tools, I might create something that may help people to be more abundant too. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. And with every doing, it actually changes the absolute data, because what is happening now has never occurred before. So I thank everyone for all their being and doing. It's just creating quantum launch pads, and it's exponential and perpetual. It is only going forward. And there are things that you do not perhaps see that you are visibly affecting. And now it just needs to swing into focus so you can visibly see it, but it's all there. So that's what the fun is going to occur this week, starting this week and all through the next few weeks, is everything's going to be becoming visible that you haven't seen, but you affected and you helped create. You helped co-create.
Yes,
so thank you, Carlos, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, I'll let you go so you can take more calls. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Carlos. That was a bit loud, Mark.
Okay.
Sorry, I think that was an earthquake or something. I don't know.
It was a Markquake.
Do we have another caller? Because I'd like to answer,
yes.
Or all of us would like to answer as many questions as we can.
You're okay to go over the top
There's a lot of questions which were, I think, poignant for the collective. So do you have another caller?
Yes, we do. We have area code 406.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Whitney in Montana.
Hello, Whitney in Montana.
Hey,
I'm
Whitney.
listening so intently. Hello, and I have absolutely no question. And you called me.
Hi, Whitney.
But hello. I would say that I am just wowed by how far we've come in just all of how far we've changed, our ability to articulate questions, and even in the midst of not knowing. And it is so hard to live right now not knowing what the next step is. But I really don't have a question.
Thank you for your energy, Whitney, and returning kind. I got the energetic data there. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome. So if you,
Big
I
hugs,
will say the
Whitney.
Mark I feel like, I do have to admit that I was insanely jealous that I'm not in Morocco. And then I had to come full circle that if I didn't intend to be right here, then I would be in Morocco. So
everyone's here. They just don't know it. And it's not even about, someone brought up about that, where do I need to be? What do I do? And everyone has these different fractals. You're touching every moment of everything that exists. And there are parts that resonate with you, and you sit there and you follow this energetic trail. You're actually creating this energetic trail, and you're actually bringing your density up with the part of you that's sitting where you resonate the most. So keep going. If it's Morocco, then I'll see you soon. If it's not Morocco, then I'm sure I'll see you soon anyways, because we're all magnetically drawn to the crossroad of now, and here we are.
Thank you.
No
so
one's
much.
left out.
Yeah, I do feel it's like a kind of a wrap up on our journey together, and I want to express gratitude. I learned about this on February 9th. I remember that interview, and I listened to you and Heather and Brian talk in that first interview, and I was shaking inside, and I shook for like a day, and I couldn't tell enough people what I couldn't even articulate.
Apparently, neither could I.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. I was the one doing the interview. I had no idea what was going on.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Libby.
Just thank you for the culmination of all that's good. It's all wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Love and light.
Thanks, Whitney.
Uh-huh.
More Whitney's, please.
Okay, we have area code 646.
Well then, it is I once again, my good people.
Hey, it's Flo.
Well, how we doing, everyone? Good morning, afternoon, and evening. I'm in the chat room again, just listening to everyone. How you guys doing? Boy, howdy. What can I say that I haven't said already? Well, today I want to say I was reading that notice that they put out on the 14th or 15th or something saying, this is it was on Facebook. I saw it. It's like this long thing saying enact this now, the interim president and all this wonderful stuff. So I was just concerned about, who is this interim president? And if he is not or she is not there, I'd like to know how do we go about finding out who this leader, quote unquote, can be, because I'd love to be some sort of weird figurehead out there just dancing and getting people's attention and saying, come over here and look at all these doers and beers, not being anyone who can say or do anything that anyone else can't, but just to be a face or someone that can, run around all of these, news brackets and just, give out the information of the one people to the mainstream media as if I were the president, the ambassador, if you will. We can put it like that. I'll be the ambassador for the one people, to the 1%, like, going out there saying, hey, guys, we're doing and being over here. I've got some CBACs going on all over the nation. If you guys need something or don't go to the government, talk to us. We're the one people. We're here for you. Then you got the grand jury situation. The grand jury, we've got 60-something counties in New York. We can put those together. I mean, I'm just looking at actually taking the energetic space from those that are holding it now, since they're the only ones who are holding it, and creating another one just so we can stand alongside them. The same way that the IUVA and the Project 13 are standing in the energetic space for the financial district, I'd like to create something for the legislation or the courts even to hold that energetic space as well. While we hold the broadcasting energetic space, I'll go out here and infiltrate their broadcasting and migrate some of their listeners over to us. I want to know how many people are actually listening. I heard that there were maybe over 200,000, but I see that there's only almost 400 people in the chat room. So that's just a number that I see there. But I want this to grow. I'm sick of just being on, Blog Talk Radio. I want someone to put an ad in Times Square. We need some big fat pocket guy who's just like, forget it. Let's put some ad campaign together and make this happen. Forget about trying to make a new system, for just the entire process. Let's actually get someone who's out there, like, Angelina Jolie or somebody of that stature, of that nature. I know Woody Harrelson is somebody who's probably awake. Kid Rock, I can go on.
Yeah, you got his number?
Oh, I wish I did. I can go on to the big book of what do you call that? The big book of the entertainment and publishing. They release one every year, telling all the different indie and major labels that are able to publish and distribute. So I need to buy that book, though. I'll have to go to Barnes and Nobles and check it out. I might be able to download it online. But yeah, I'm gonna get all these people's numbers. If anyone knows anyone in the music industry or any type of industry, just let me know. Flowfocus@gmail.com, FLOFOKUZ I'm putting together a CVAC in my area in New York. I mean, there's so much doing and being. I got so much plans, but no resources. So I need help. Ayudar, por favor. Any other languages you guys speak, help.
Thank you for doing your thing and wow.
Yeah, I mean a super PAC. I mean, come on, guys.
Are always transparent.
Exactly. That's the whole key to it, just to keep the integrity with being completely transparent. You know, and everything that we do is just public knowledge. It's like, we're here to help and serve those that don't have the power to stand up on their own 2 feet. So I'll give you a shoulder to lean on so you can get across the street. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. It's like somebody who just needs a meal today because they're passing through town trying to go see their cousin in St. Louis. Great. Here, have an apple. Or here's a sandwich. You know what I mean? This is life. You know, I don't feel like anybody who came from anywhere should have to prove that they're eternal essence by showing some sort of representation of energy. And then here we are again talking about a representation. It's like, how do I need an IUV to stand here and say, okay, yeah, that's Prince. He's real. Here's some energy that he can use. Hi, I'm energy. How you doing? I can be and do what he wants me to be. But no, let's get that out of the way and just, hi, I'm Prince. I'd like this. Let's do and be what I can do. You know what I'm talking about? Like, just forget about all that and just move forward. Get out of my way. I want to live. Love and let live.
Well said, Paul. Well said.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Flo.
Thank you once again.
Flo, real quick. Hey, man, are you in a position where you can get down on one knee? Because
on the what?
if you go ahead and get down on one knee, I'm going to officially knight you the ambassador of the One People. So feel free to add
I am on bended knee.
Add that to your
Sorry.
add that to your email signature, and then you put in there the archive of this recording. There you go, my man. Make us proud.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for this power, for this new found spirit that I can then take and wield across this great planet, the truth and honesty that we all are. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Flo.
Say your prayers.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bob, you want to bring out the next one?
Area code, I was muted, I'm sorry. Area code 612.
Hello, this is Donna, Minnesota.
Hello, Donna.
Hi. I have a question for Heather. Is she there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, good. Thank you. Just sending love to everyone, and this might be a 3D question, and please forgive me. I'm doing the best I can catching up. But reality is what it is, and I'm gonna tell you what our reality is here. Maybe I don't understand what the finale is. I understand what Nasera is. I understand what an RV is. I don't understand what a finale is. I've heard Heather say to me or to other people is if you get a notice from a court and the court says you need to appear 1,500 miles away, and I want you here at such and such a date, and we respond to them and we say, you tell me who you are, and then by what authority are you summoning me to this court? So we do that, and we do it in a real professional manner. We send it registered mail, and we have put them in a default situation. So they're in default, and so what do we get 10 days later? We get arrested. We get arrested, and we get threatened with incarceration for 6 weeks while the court proceeding will be going on. And I have a dear friend in court begging the judge, I guess that isn't probably the right term, but letting the judge know that we did respond to the court. And we asked them who they be. And they say, let's get the marshals out there and let's pick them up. Let's pretend something happened within their vehicle, and so let's get them, the local people, to have a traffic stop, which was bogus, and then let's get the marshals to arrest him, detain him, and have him have to go in front of a court. And now, because he's such a stand-up guy, and because he lived at his home for over 30 years, the judge could not justify him being shipped back to 1,500 miles away because he didn't appear in his court. So my question is, will we get relief from this?
First off, I can't speak to any individual cases only because I have to have all the data to be able to make any kind of assessment. And it seems, from what you're saying, from what little you're saying, it seems really excessive, that kind of action or reaction that a purported court would take. So I'm not going to speak to any kind of advice or anything like that because I don't have all the data. I can say it doesn't seem, for somebody to say, well, show me your authority and show me your standing, and they go out and arrest and all of that, it just seems really drastic. So I'm obviously missing some data here. And at this point, as far as your key question, are you going to see relief, period, from anything? Because it sounds like you're really in a spot where you just want relief. You don't care where it comes from. You just want relief. And you're focusing on this one situation, which seems very drastic. And I agree with at least the fact that it seems very drastic. That's why I say I must be missing. Okay? I know really great officers, really great people that are in positions of purported public officials who want the right thing to happen, who want to be there for the people. And then there are some that just are very egotistical, and there are some that just gave up. Okay, and they do their job, they do their title, and they don't feel good about what they do. So I can't speak to the individuals that were involved in your case and their intent because, number one, I don't know them, I haven't met them, I don't know what their intent is. So if you are asking for me to speak on your individual case, I won't do it. Just because of the data that I just gave you.
That's Heather, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is for tools to fight an evil cabal.
I don't fight. I don't see anyone around for me to fight. I do see tools for swinging things into focus and for working on making everything aware, all the data out there so people can make an individual choice, make their choice by their free will.
So let me add something. Let me add something here real quick if I can. What you're talking about is what people are doing not only in this country but all around the world. And what it really involves is staying calm and standing your ground. And when
he did that.
But when enough people do that, all of a sudden the old systems that used to control things begin to collapse. So is there a possibility that may come with repercussions? Absolutely. Is there a possibility that my car might get impounded for me not paying my car payments? Of course. Is there a possibility that I might get pulled over because I didn't pay for my registration and that might come with some financial penalty? Absolutely. Do I go to bed worrying about those things at night? Not one wink. Because if it does happen to me, then it serves some greater purpose because I know with my work it's what has to be done because in order for change to happen, it has to start happening in the masses, and it will happen collectively and a lot faster when everybody stands their ground and stays calm. So for me, it's about letting go of that fear and allowing what's to take place, and standing my ground no matter what, knowing full well what I'm doing in each moment. So Heather or anybody never told anybody to go out there and do anything. This is about everybody making individual choices. And so if you're asking, if your real core question is when is the landscape going to be set that will allow for these types of events to not take place any longer and for the people to be set free? I personally, I feel like we're right there. But in the meantime, it's not about waiting. It's about doing, and doing it with full confidence and letting go of all the fear that you might be holding that something negative could take place as a result.
And Donna,
okay, Brian,
there's one thing.
Okay.
Donna, there's one thing.
I'd like to have a chance to talk here because, you know, you guys talk and you talk, but you don't listen to us, and that's exactly what Chris was saying. Now, yeah, we did ask the judge who they be, who they do. What I want to know is what is the finale? You know, you guys talk about ethereal finale. What is the finale? What is this week and next week? Okay, I'll be quiet and let's hear what that is.
Okay, so the finale is absolute data. The finale is going in and having tools that people have hung their hats on, such as the RV. Excuse me? All tools, any tool that you visibly see that resonates within you, that you choose to use, that is a tool. Period. For some, it's energetic. For some, it's internal. For some, it's external. Doesn't matter right now. It's the matter that you have tools. So these tools are coming out. Some resonate, for instance, with the courtesy notice. Some don't. However, it was used and it had a great impact, a great effect. There are other tools that were out there that were actually used to create a courtesy notice, such as experience. Scott Bartle and Ken Bartle and Chris all went in and used all these other tools and created a tool that resonated with them. And it apparently resonated with a heck of a lot around the globe because they were using them. And it has incredible effects. So the finale is about absolute data, it's about absolute knowledge, and it's about having everything that you require when you require it. That's as specific as I'll get because I'm not going to limit everybody and their quantum jump pads and their ability to move forward.
Okay, I appreciate the answer, and I understand what you're saying. It sounds to me like the people that are trying to put the RV through are kind of stymied and
no, they're moving. It's just putting things into a corner. Like I said, everything you guys have been being and doing, everything we've been being and doing, all embodiments throughout the universe has actually helped them do things, to use that specific example, and they're working too. So you're going to be able to see visibly what they've been working on and how and what effect you've had. So that's absolute context that's coming out, and that's more of the absolute data that's coming out for that particular point. So have patience, keep being and doing, because every being and doing that you do pushes it forward into visibility. You are absolutely a part of the solution, and you absolutely are having an effect in creating this moment and now, the finale.
That's exciting. I appreciate your time, and I'll let someone else take the turn. Thank you very much.
Donna, one of the things I wanted to tell you.
Donna, Bob, if I could just jump in, Donna, have a look at absolute-data-exchange.com. It's the tool we're developing for mass email outs to support each other in all of these instances where we need to tell the system more about what's going on to get the messages in there. That's one tool that's coming online. Keep an eye on it.
Okay, guys, we're about to run out of time, but we can go over to try and get through these last few questions. So if you've called in, you'll continue to stay with us. If you're just at Blog Talk, you will lose us in about a minute, but you'll hear whatever happens after this in the archive. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for the questions. Much love from Morocco to those of you who lose in a minute. Do you want to bring out the next one, please, Bob?
Sure. Area code 808. Area code 808.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Bob.
No problem. Who do we have?
Thank you. This is Daryl. I'm in
Hello,
Maui.
Daryl.
And aloha from Maui.
Hello,
Thank you,
aloha.
Heather, thank you for your doing. And Brian, love your laugh. And Chris, I really like your incredible ability to get the message across. So thank you. I have been doing my own doing. I woke up in 1990 and actually had to go back to sleep because it was a little too painful. And about 7 years ago, I woke back up again and said, oh, maybe now's a better time. So here I am. And it really all started, I met an astronaut, believe it or not, on Maui. He used to live here. And he was scheduled to go to Mars in the public Mars program in 1999. Of course, he didn't go because they canceled that. And he really got me on this path of, interest about free energy and, of course, the galactics. And what I learned really blew my line back then. Of course, now it's pretty normal for me. I've traveled around the country looking at different devices and whatnot. And, I was still really bothered. Not about that until
we're losing you, Daryl. I don't know if you're losing signal on your phone, but you're breaking up.
Did you hear a quick question out of that?
Most of the time when it's breaking up on your end, everybody else can hear it just fine. So hopefully everybody else.
But the point is, if we can't hear your question, we can't answer it.
Right. Okay, I see in the chat, as the people say, it's breaking up for them as well.
Do we have a clear question?
Yes. My question is, I've done tons of research. I've learned a lot about courtroom procedure and more than I ever wanted to know about the legal system. And I actually started that years ago. But right now, my one hang-up with all of this is the UCC. Okay? What I don't understand and cannot find any information on anywhere is why is the UCC relevant to these foreclosures?
Well, the UCC is just one part of the commercial registries. They went and made everything uniform. And in fact, the next step was to make all the accounting uniform. So all the countries, but it's all irrelevant at this point as far as what all that was. It's no longer there. Even if it looks and appears to be operating, that has been the modus operandi, is to go in and make everyone think that nothing's happening, nothing's being affected. So that's why it's important to go in and really know what you know within. And all the data flips around. So as far as the commercial registry, everything was moved under the commercial registry, and it's actually been under the commercial registry. UCC was just one form, but it's been around for millennium.
And Daryl, it's simply because the governments were corporations.
Right. I understand that the government are corporations, those charters. Well, basically,
all the data is out there, Daryl.
I'm in a very...
All of it is out there and visible. Just go and as far as discussing it, I just say go out and continue your research, because there's been many shows, many Skypes, many emails with the particular answers to the questions that you're asking. That's already out there.
Well, thank you for the information about the commercial registry. I will look that up. And I'm basically in a very similar situation as Uwe at Free Speech Australia, and I have put my bank into default without myself being in default, so I'm not behind on any payments. They're not answering my questions. They cannot. It's not fraudulent, and they just continue on and basically ignore me. So now I'm at a point where I'm wanting to go further with this, and So I know if at a certain point just say, well, I'm going to stop paying, then I will be in default.
Daryl, I'm sorry, we can't hear you on this end, so I'm going to mute you because you're coming in really garbled.
Yes. Daryl, it's
thanks
Chris
for your
here.
call.
Yeah, Daryl, it's Chris here if you're still listening. I would get directly in touch with Uwe, contact him through his site, because the court case he's going through is changing strategic directions, sort of, almost daily, and getting even more interesting. Contact him directly, because I think you'll find that very valuable to help you in what you want to do next.
Okay. We have area code 619.
Oh, that is me. Hello, friends. Hello? Am I heard? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm down in beautiful Southern California.
Hello, Alex.
Yeah. I want to thank all you guys for all of your efforts. It's been very rewarding listening to you guys, and some of the ideas you discussed can't be found much other places, so it's greatly appreciated on my behalf. Now, as far as a question, I'm not sure. I feel like a lot has been discussed, and I'm not sure exactly where I'm at in my understanding. If I were to just kind of give like a general overview, I feel that I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are a different understanding, but lots of people I know seem to be focusing their energies mostly on getting some sort of financial gain to continue sustaining the way they're existing in the world now, and I guess until some sort of alternative to that presents itself, they continue, or we continue ultimately to, continue some of the old patterns, I guess you could say. So I don't know. Maybe I don't exactly have a question.
Maybe if you just continue listening to the rest of the show, then hopefully you'll get even more clarity, because it is 3 a.m. here for us, and we've been going for 2 hours, so we've got a lot of people still with their hand up. So if you don't have a specific question, we'll just keep moving through if you don't mind.
Yeah, I guess just thank you guys. Maybe next time I'll have a more clear question. But thank you guys for your time, and peace and love to all of you. Thank you.
And to you too, Don.
Thanks, Alex. Area code 303.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Vernell from Colorado.
Hello, Bernal.
Okay, it's Vernell.
Oh, Vernell, I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, I have an echo coming back, so I can hear myself. But I would like to say I want to make one comment. Whoever was on their way to Morocco who talked about the river in Bangladesh and the elementals that were stuck in this slimy, terrible water, I'm a person who wants to spend every ounce of anything that is coming to clean up this planet. And I think it's very, very cool that the powers that were so nasty and hoarded all that energy that we can now get our hands on to clean up this planet, because that's the first thing I will do, is to start environmentally working through who was that, by the way? Was that Brian that was talking about Bangladesh?
No, that was Mark Hoser.
Who was it?
Mark Hoser.
Okay, Mark. He should lead up the effort to have us donate so that river and all the rivers that are polluted and all the areas where people are poverty-stricken and there's so much unhappiness on the planet can all be fixed by those who don't care except to get the Earth back where it needs to be, the free energy, destruction of the highway system and the automobiles that run on fossil fuels and all the things that have happened to get it back, to get it to the energy level that it should be at, and so that we can all live in peace and happiness and know that people other places are not totally suffering. I know people in the United States think they're suffering. They haven't seen suffering until the waters of your town are so terribly polluted. As
Vernal, like I said, we agree with everything you're saying.
Right.
But did you actually have a specific question for anyone here?
No, it was just a comment. I just want to use anything that we ever get our hands on as far as financial rewards. I will use it to clean up the planet, and I hope there's tons and tons of people who feel the same way. That's what I would like it for. Okay,
thank you.
You guys are fabulous.
Thanks, Dawn. Bye for now.
Okay, bye.
Okay, in the queue that I'm looking at, there's still quite a few people with their hand up. If you don't have a question, can you please put your hand down? We do love all of your comments and we do love the chat, but right now, as we're into our third hour and it's very late in the evening, we'd like to just try and get through the questions as short and sharp as we can. So if you don't have a question, please put your hand down if you've got it up, and we'll go from there. Okay, Bob, I'll leave it with you.
Okay, area code 612.
Is this my family?
This is Seraph.
I know I probably don't have a question because I get my questions answered as often as I possibly can. But I had to come on. I never get you guys together anymore. You're all in another country. So it's so rare to get you guys together anymore. So I had to call and say hi. I've been doing some under-the-radar wing slapping, so you haven't heard much from me. But I just want to make a statement to everybody who calls in and has one problem or another. Everybody's got problems. I get that. But we have to understand that all that's happening right now is a culmination of all of our souls at one point making an agreement that we're going to create this situation, this contrast, so that we can show who we really are at this particular moment in time. So I know for me, I had to get away from focusing on what was not working the way I think it should be working and get focused on just being in the moment, because that's the basis of everything we're doing right now. And some people are still trying to make this savior meme out of Heather and Chris and that's ridiculous. We have got to understand that there is nothing that can happen on this planet that we as individuals can't do on our own. We have to first agree to that power.
Sarah,
yes,
my winged friend, I love you dearly, but if we don't get through this and be able to,
I know you guys are going to go to sleep.
Sarah, hey, we love you though, brother.
I know. I just wanted to let you know I'm a Moor, so I don't really need to be in Morocco. Morocco's in me. So you guys just handle it, do what you got to do, and I just wanted to hear Heather's voice a few times without the internet cracking up. So I'm out of here. You guys take calls. I'll talk to you later. Love you all.
All right, brother. Peace, man.
Peace.
Bye.
And Heather's away from the computer for a moment. She went to use the restroom, so I'll impersonate her and say, "Bye, Sarah. Talk to you later."
Oh, please don't give up your day job.
Don't ever do that again, Brian.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Area code 111.
So Brian is going to be Heather's stuntman. Is that right?
Oh,
I know it sounds exactly like it.
Yes, that's you.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy, after the last few, I figured, well, I'm not quitting now. I know you guys are tired, but I'm going to stick to it. And I just, a quick note, I do have questions, but I just have to say on behalf of everyone, please understand the people are just really emotional. They've never done this before, and it's a new terrain, and everyone loves you, okay?
Hey, guess what?
Questions I know are flowing in chat. So question number one. Could you clarify quickly for me when Heather does say what's coming up at the end of the week, visible is or invisible is going to become visible? What exactly is she referring to? Like,
she said there would be announcements, but I have to get her to answer this question. Hang on. Stepped out.
Do you want me to do another question while you're doing that?
I need you. Yep.
Yeah, I got in. I can't believe it.
Hello?
Hi. Is this Heather?
Hi. Yes,
hi, beautiful. This is Diane. Heart to
hi,
you.
Diane.
Hi.
Thank you.
And I'm going to keep it short. I know.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I got to smoke a cigarette, so.
Oh, okay.
I admit it.
Good. That's fine. Being and doing, right?
Yeah, being and doing. I love it. You're so funny. Okay, go for it. What's your question?
Question number one, just in a nutshell, when you refer to the end of the week and what is invisible will be visible, what are you referring to exactly, or is that possible for you to explain?
Anything you can imagine. Anything you can imagine, you imagine it.
Okay, so if I imagine that the banker is going to honor me, then that'll happen? Kind of?
Well, let's put it this way. All the stuff that's been happening in banking that you haven't been seeing or that others haven't been seeing, all that's going to become visible, and it starts this week. I told you. All been in, okay, so it starts to swing visible. What hasn't been visible? Data, transparency, all that's swinging in now, and it's all done. Once that starts and the transparency starts, it's addictive. Everybody wants it.
Yay. Okay, that's working for me. Totally.
And it goes
you can end your sentence right there. You don't need to go any farther. Beautiful. I can go to sleep at night and know. Okay, back into more of the 3D, the trenches part with everybody. A common question with everybody right now is they've done the CNs, the courtesy notices, they've done the 3 invoices. They're all kind of hanging. And I think, am I right? It's going to be really irrelevant, right? Like, we're all worried about what the next step is going to be, but I keep getting this feeling that I'm not even really going to have to worry about that. Am I off the mark, or?
No, it resonates with me. I can tell you this. When I was in the trenches in the courts, I have just one case that had over $700 million built up at that point. And they know it, and it's sitting there. I haven't touched it because the whole point, my whole intent was to jumpstart transparency, to jumpstart them being aware. And I do not regret it, and it was the best investment I've ever made. Am I going to go back and touch that $700 million or force them, say, hand it over, or I'm going to do a citizen's arrest, or I'm going to use any kind of form of enforcement? No, I'm doing enforcement, going in and making them aware, because that's what resonates with me. So it's, for me, courtesy notices and all that, I think it's a great tool to bring awareness, and it's worked. And it's also helped them make an informed choice of what they're going to do. And it's what it is manifesting is transparency. And anything over and beyond that is beautiful. But transparency is what everyone asks for, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And that whole veil of their facade, their game is thinning, and it's just dissipating right now, right, as we speak.
Well, yeah, it's becoming more visible, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
And it's continuing to be more visible, and that's what the finale and all of that is about. So, yes, it resonates with me that all of the collections and all of that is irrelevant, because the actual purpose of any tool was to bring transparency. That's the first thing everyone requested, whether it was through their legislation, whether it was through the mainstream and all of that. It was all transparency. That was the number one request, and the answer was yes. Now, it's happening different than anyone expected, but the answer is yes. So there we go.
Good, because tomorrow and the rest of the week I'm printing until I run out of ink, and I'm hitting every single place in my town and just going to keep pounding. And I had said to Lisa, and I just want you to know too, Heather, that I know we're all sounding a bit threadbare and, almost in a demanding tone, but people love you guys, and just know that you hear part of it in the chat, but we are all there with you, and we know what you all have done, and we are as well doing with you. Everyone has gone into the trenches wholeheartedly, and it's just a new terrain, and they feel the pinch and the squeeze, and but we're there. We're with you. I
Diana,
just have one other question.
I will stop there. Stop there because for me, there's no commanding, demanding, or anything else. I understand. This wasn't by design of the people, but it was by design of the absolute plants, and we knew the difference. We could see the difference and feel it and experience it, and then choose, make an informed choice of how to go forward. So don't worry about it. I'm doing this without judgment.
Okay. I just had to share, because I know everyone feels the same way. So that being said, I hope you can get to sleep. I only had one quick question. I don't know if for Heather or maybe Chris. I know a lot of people are wondering about Captain Daryl, if there's any update on that. And thank you, Heather, and bless you. And,
absolutely.
Look forward to our next.
I'll leave this to Chris.
Yeah, look, Daryl's continuing to do exactly what you're doing, Diane. He's continuing to educate all the people that he's dealing with, and to find faults in their own actions, which are many and varied. If only they would actually deal honestly, because they break their own rules absolutely and continuously. So it's like whack-a-mole, and he's in good spirits. And as Brian said before, he doesn't lose any sleep over the situation that he's in. He knows it's just a process, and that things are about to shift, and he's working very hard just to keep the pressure on. And that's really the invoices are just they're just sitting there. They're a message to the system. You've delivered it. You just keep up the pressure. And indeed the email campaigns we're gathering to organise are doing the same thing. More information, more pressure. It's just the glare of transparency reaching into the system. In the same way that the courtesy notices flow around inside an organisation and around the water coolers. So we're just coming at the system with more information from a different direction. And if you have a look at the Absolute Data Exchange website, you should be able to leverage that in your own area, and you can certainly use it to support others. And that's really just, more information flooding back into the system that we know what's going on, and we'd prefer to do it some other way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that sounds good. Is there any plan of having Captain Daryl on one of the shows soon?
Yeah, look, Daryl's so busy, I don't want to keep twisting his arm to come on the show. But
at the water cooler.
Yeah, look, no, he'll probably pop up again next week or the week after. So.
Yeah. Okay.
And if something else major goes on, I'll have another discussion with him, which we'll publish. So we'll keep in touch.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah, you take care, and we're with you all the way.
Yeah. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Oh,
one more call left, and that's
home.
That's it.
Are you planning on coming back home?
Oh, me? Yeah, of course. I've got to.
Yeah,
you.
Back. Thought maybe we're all going to have to move back there. Okay. Good night, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Area code 336.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? This is Randy from North Carolina.
Hello, Randy.
I had an aha moment last night when Chris mentioned about sending out courtesy notices about releasing the negative energy that you had towards this entity, whether it be a bank or a DMV or IRS or whatever. I'm hanging on to life by my fingernails, it feels like sometimes, and I don't have the ability to have a computer where I can fill out courtesy notices and send them, and I was wondering if there's a possibility that maybe somebody can help, maybe email me a courtesy notice or whatever, but I feel like that I have a lot of energy that I can spend into this, so I just had somebody to help me to, like I said, I'm hanging on with my fingernails, and I just don't have the ability to have a computer or the
Okay, you don't have a computer at all?
No, sir. I have a cell phone, and the only connection I have with the internet is through my cell phone, and it's very small.
Okay. Any of your neighbors have email?
I don't have neighbors. I live in the middle of BFE.
Look, all you could do is, it's certainly possible to have someone physically mail you some courtesy notices so you can start using them. But you'd have to pop your address, get your address to us in some way so that we can physically mail it to you. And what's the best way to get an address to us, Lisa?
Private email, I would think.
But if you can't, if he's only got a cell phone, it has to be. Email from my cell phone, but it's really small.
Oh, you can email.
Okay, yeah. Look, email it to. In fact, send it to the Forapack address. If you've got a pen, I'll give it to you. I've got a pen. Okay. Sorry, you've got a pen? Yes. Yeah, it's FOROPAQ. Okay. At absolute data exchange.com. Okay. Okay. And that actually goes. It actually ends up usually in front of Ken and Scott. And Ken's been incredibly diligent about responding to emails to Forapack, so I'm sure he will be able to email you a response, and we'll get something in the mail.
Try and get someone locally to him to send out.
Yeah, because there's quite a. What state are you in the United States?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
If you send an email and just give them your location details and what you need, that you'd copies of the courtesy notices sent to you in the mail.
Yep.
I'm sure Ken can find someone local who can do that for you.
They're summons me to jury duty. They're taking my driver's license. I mean, I've just been, like I said, I feel like I'm hanging on to life with my fingernails, and it's just, I feel trapped. And I'm ready to get out of this. And when Chris mentioned last night about how to use the energy for the courtesy notice, it really was like it was an aha moment. I thought, I've got to do this. I've got to help out here.
Yep. Well, that's the sort of energy the system needs back from us. Again, with positive intention, because the people inside the system are just like us. They just haven't had the memo yet either. And the courtesy notice is part of the memo. It's part of the information they need.
Right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, guys, we've only got one or two left, so let's get through these so people can go to sleep before they pass out. Area code 413.
Hello, this is Christy calling. Have I got you guys on the line?
You do, yes, Christy. How are you?
I am well. I'm calling you guys from Western Massachusetts here in the States, and I really appreciate all that you have done to this point and what you will continue to do, as I know it has not ended yet. The courtesy notices and all of the financial aspects appeal to me, but not to my partner. Yet we both have a strong desire to move out of the matrix in our own way. So what we have done is agreed so that we can have a unified front is we are continuing to move forward in our homeschooling efforts and building community around that and helping to educate people to what their to empower people to move forward on that front. However, with all of the information that has come into my paradigm since the OPPT started, and my primary function in the homeschooling community is teaching history, I am lacking focus on how to gently and lovingly, to use some of Heather's terms, help children and parents move forward towards this new developing paradigm. And I'm curious if you guys could offer any advice to help focus my thoughts to move forward until there's much more of a, much more of a public awareness of what is going on that would help keep me true to who I am and still honor the people that I work with that are coming from very restrictive faith traditions.
Okay, can I take this one, Lisa?
Actually, yeah, because it completely broke up on our end. I couldn't hear. I heard homeschooling.
If you want a direction to go in for homeschooling, I'd have a really close look at the wisdom game. It's because there's nothing in it that will ping any of the, sort of hard line religious that will get in the way of a lot of being presented with anything that's too political or too far from their particular views on life, the universe, and everything. Have you heard of the wisdom game before?
I've heard of it. I understand that it is not spelled the same way as wisdom. So how do you spell it, please?
Yeah, it's WIZZDOM club.com.au is the website.
Also, Chris, what about the Sudval stuff?
Yeah, look, you're probably more familiar with that than I am, but that is another approach
I
too.
I know a little bit about it, basically, because it's been brought up on the show a few times, but I had a look at their website, and I don't know if what was your name? Sorry, caller? Christy? Did you have
Christy, yes.
Sudval? Sudval?
No, I haven't.
Have a look at that online. They've got a website.
Yeah, actually, the Wisdom Club is actually the actual website is thewisdomclub.com. Sorry, I need to correct that. So it's THE then wisdom spelled WIZZDOM club CLUB.com. We've had Len on the show. We've had Len on the show a couple of times, and it's a show about contact, becoming closer to your higher intelligence and your emotional intelligence, and it's just exploiting. What it's doing is exploiting people's love of simple games that are fun to make very strong emotional points about life and about relationships and how your attitude to yourself and others, and it reaches quite deeply inside you without you knowing it. And Bob knows exactly what I mean because he's played it too. It's superficially it just looks like kids' games, but it isn't. It's much more serious than that, and it actually is good for all ages. It's not just for kids, and you can mix ages in it as well. You can mix kids in with parents. It's quite a brilliant and simple little thing. So have a look at the website, and the other that Lisa spoke of too is a really, really unique way of looking at educating kids. Very successful too, by the sound of it.
Beautiful, thank you. Finding the internal focus has been a challenge, so thank you for giving me something to focus on to help moving forward with that. As we all know, education is going to be our next step moving forward with all of this.
Yes, it is.
Big yes from me. Huge.
Oh, thanks, Christy. We've got one caller to go.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Area code 505. You're our last caller.
And you know what? The board is not responding.
Oh, I did at my end.
Okay. Maybe you can unmute it?
505? Oh, it says it's unmuted. Our last caller has disappeared.
Can we go to bed now?
Yes, I think we can. I think we can let you guys go to bed.
Only 3:30.
Yeah, what?
It's 3:33.
3:33. Sounds like a good time to finish.
Yes. Okay.
Absolute love and gratitude to Bob and Chris and Lisa. This has been an amazing experience, and I thank you. And we'll be doing and being together.
No, we don't count anymore.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
say,
thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to enjoy on your platform, on your doing. And I'd rather do this in person from now on. So I love you guys.
Ditto.
Well, just observing you guys from a distance, I think everyone being around you, Heather, has actually lifted you up quite a bit. Am I right there?
I'd say we're very good influences on her, Chris, so yes, absolutely.
Well, I get to sleep, and I don't have to do so many time zones. So that's about all the benefit I get out of it.
Look, the time.
She's too far away from me.
I'm so joking, and everyone knows it.
Ouch.
It's been an amazing experience, and it continues every moment. So what a wonderful gift you guys have given me over and beyond anything I ever expected. And that's what abundance is about. That's what UV exchange is about. Just imagining, and I imagined this, but what's happening here is way beyond what I ever imagined. So now I can quantum jump somewhere else. So thank you.
Good.
Okay, then. Good night, everyone. We'll see everyone next week.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.